So the last time that Russian leaders met with American leaders was in Alaska, and there was the Anchorage agreements signed that were supposed to end the war in Ukraine, or at the very least, disrupt it slightly, but that didn't work out. In fact, the war in Ukraine is worse than ever for both countries, and it's really bad in spite of the fact that Donald Trump did the single most alpha thing that's ever happened, actually, in American politics, which is fly a B-2 bomber over the head of and I mean, the most incredible moment, maybe like arguably like this side of like Hirohito like surrendering aboard a U.S. aircraft carrier. Look at how Putin is actually Game, respect, game. Anyway, it just happened again. Do you understand this? Do you understand what's happening? Nothing happens, and then suddenly, all at once, everything moves very slowly, and then suddenly, all at once, the world changes. A highly unusual movement of a U.S. Air Force C-17 transport aircraft just landed in Moscow, flying in restricted airspace. You're not allowed to fly to Moscow. No American official has flown to Moscow since the start of the Ukraine war. What's going on here? I'm sure they're just refueling. No, they're not. A U.S. Boeing C-17 Globemaster III strategic airlifter descending into an airport in Moscow on Tuesday morning. The cameraman screams in Russian, "We are under attack." There we go. Okay. Does Russia have these like cute little shopping malls? Okay. Have you ever shopped at a Tom Taylor? All right. Why is it everything in English? I guess this is in Russian, but like silver spoon. That's very interesting. What's going on here? Exactly. Other than like Russian shopping malls. Why is American cargo flight flown to Moscow this morning? Possibly for the first time ever since the start of the war. And then, lo and behold, look at this. Zipping through Moscow comes a U.S. motorcade. Oh, no. Oh, no. What's this about? With the white trucks and the security vans and everything? Something's going down, baby. U.S. military plane lands in Moscow. Plane landed at a locked-down airport. The Kremlin said it had no information about the aircraft or its reason for its arrival. Bull! You know exactly what's going on. It's the silver bullet. Look at this. You ever heard of the silver bullet? Silver bullet is an airstream that is a skiff that's used. It's like a Secretary of Defense pod that gets taken out of these. So it's like a impenetrable from radar or spying equipment trailer that travels around with the CIA director. Oh, baby. Hot dog. Here we go. The CIA director flies unannounced to Moscow to hold talks. Uh-oh. Kremlin spokesperson said he did not have information about the government aircraft. Oh, okay. So CIA director John Ratcliffe just flies into Moscow and you have nothing, you don't know anything about it? Please. Here we go. Central Intelligence Agency John Ratcliffe flew to Russia to hold unspecified talks in Moscow. Now, why is it important that it's CIA director and not the Department of Agriculture or whatever, right? So Trump trusts Ratcliffe implicitly, and you haven't seen Donald Trump go after the CIA. CIA was obviously a constant target of President Trump in the first administration. Very frustrated about what was going on there. Obviously a place that has a dodgy relationship and history with election rigging and so on. You've heard no drama from the CIA. Isn't that interesting in Trump term 2.0? Meanwhile, Ratcliffe has gone all around the world, right, to some of America's enemies, gone to Cuba. What's the deal with Cuba? He's going to Cuba. He's going to Moscow. This is Ratcliffe's first known trip to Moscow. CIA director. He made headlines with a visit to Venezuela to meet with interim director. And then he also went to Cuba. Okay. So what's going on here exactly? Nobody knows what the focus of the talks were. He traveled to Cuba in May to meet with the government leaders. He was the highest-ranking Trump administration agents to visit the island, which is under severe economic pressure as the U.S. tightens sanctions that seem to be working all around the world. Go ahead and check in what's going on with Iran today. Iran is sitting there on their knees begging for mercy now. Isn't that amazing? Ratcliffe's travel comes as mystery swirled around the U.S. military transport aircraft landed in Moscow, according to tracking data. It's not known who was on board the plane or why it was in Moscow. The Kremlin spokesperson said they didn't have any information, neither U.S. or Russian officials, U.S. embassy or Moscow, nobody said anything. Two planes, a C-130 cargo plane and a C-40 landed in Riga, the capital of Latvia, part of the same mission, according to the United States official. And then the C-130 went on to Russia. Okay. So what's the internet saying about this? CIA director in Moscow. What could it be? So my take on this, and if you sort of see what the administration has been doing, my take on this is that they really want the end to the Ukraine war. They would really like to set up JD without massive broiling conflicts. It's happening in Iran. Donald Trump is going to be a one-term president. Donald Trump's not going to run again. He talked all about 2028. He's not going to do that. It's not going to happen. So, is Donald Trump going to be can he take the slings and arrows of Iran, in this war, clean the slate for JD and get the Iran war done, get the Ukraine war done, get the global economy sort of focused now back on peace and rebuilding, and set JD up for a monster role economically into the White House in 2028 to prevent Trump from lawfare again, going to jail, what Democrats want to do to Trump. Is that what this is about? Wrapping up the war in Ukraine is a big deal. Obviously, everyone's been focused on Iran, but the war in Ukraine is huge. Costs an enormous amount of money. It's incredibly destabilizing to a ton of different gas markets. All this stuff compounds, right? CIA Director Ratcliffe is a person who traveled, and this highlights extreme secrecy. Flying heavy U.S. military asset directly into Moscow was going to be visible. They did it in the middle of the day so everyone could film it. Anna Polina Luna saying, a CIA director is doing great things on behalf of the U.S. with a peace dove. So that's my instinct here, is that it is Ratcliffe coming over to say, hey, listen, I'm the guy who Donald Trump, it's not like the Secretary of War or whatever. I'm a guy who is in charge of a pretty dangerous and very scary agency that Vladimir Putin says he loves. Vladimir Putin is a man of the intelligence community himself, and he really respects the CIA. And so maybe that's what this is about. CIA director going personally to Moscow is not normal diplomatic visit. Intelligence chiefs are particularly useful when governments need to discuss extremely sensitive matters that they don't want handling through normal diplomatic channels. Doesn't necessarily mean a major deal is being prepared or discussed. It does suggest that something very sensitive is about to go down. High-level channel between Moscow and Washington. Yes, it is a high-level channel for sure. CIA director visits Moscow. This, of course, comes as Russia has been absolutely hammered by massive strikes from Ukraine. In fact, very interestingly, the U.S. Asked Ukraine to stop bombing Russia, giving them their flight patterns, stop bombing Russia on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. So this is a request. What's going on with Ratcliffe? We have intel. Russia is about to attack NATO. Russia is about to do something very dumb in Ukraine, or delivering an ultimatum to Putin regarding Iran. Very interesting. And again, Russia it's been quite devastating. The attacks on Russia, nobody can believe it. The attacks deep inside of Russian territory in Moscow, of course, right? So they're able to hit Moscow. Crazy. But Anna Polina Luna, she's on the Intel committee. She's posting the dove. So let's see. Let's hope that plays out. Could you imagine wrapping up the Iran war and the Ukraine war in the same fell swoop and doing it right before the midterms? Dude, that would be spicy. And then, you know what? You should run it back with Putin. Do one of these again. Do it in D.C. for all I care. Run it back. Do it on the 4th of July. I see no reason why we have to be enemies with Russia or Iran or any of these other countries. They're just other countries. I don't like the war. And obviously, neither does anybody else. There's a way to have ugly peace. with nations that you disagree with, it's a good way to run the world. And so we'll see. We'll see if that happens. It's your boy Benny. Here's hoping. See ya.